Good morning, dear children. Welcome back. In today's session, we are going to discuss Class 7, Term 2, Unit 2 in History, Mughal Empire, Part 6. Come, children, let us learn. Before going on to today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned in the last one. Dears, in the last sessions, we discussed about the Mughal Empire. We learned that a new empire began in India with the arrival of the Mughal king Babur. Except for the brief reign of Sher Shah of Sud dynasty, the Mughal rule lasted from AD Common Era 1526 to 1707. These were the years when the fame of the great Mughals of India spread all over Asia and Europe. Babur was the founder of the Mughal Empire in India. He inherited Farghana, a small kingdom in Central Asia, when he was 12 years old. But he was soon driven out from there by the Uzbeks. After 10 years of adversity, Babur established himself as a ruler of Kabul. In Kabul, Babur set his sight eastward. He led his first expedition towards India. Following the tradition set by Chengiz Khan, who nominated the most deserving among his sons as his heir, Babur chose his favorite and eldest son Humayun as his heir. Humayun, on his accession to the throne, divided his inheritance as per his father's will, and accordingly his brothers Kamran, Hindal and Askari got a province each. He had rival Afghan Sher Shah Sur, the ruler of Bihar and Bengal. Sher Shah defeated Humayun at Chausa and again at Kanauj. Humayun, defeated and overthrown, had to flee to Iran. With the help of the Persian ruler Shah Tahmasp of the Safavid dynasty, Humayun succeeded in recapturing Delhi in 1555. After the death of Humayun in 1556, his 14-year-old son Akbar was crowned the king. Sher Shah, who had defeated Humayun, was the son of an Afghan noble, Hasan Suri, a ruler of Sasaram in Bihar. After overthrowing Humayun, Sher Shah started the rule of Sud dynasty at Agra. He built an empire stretching from Bengal to Indus, excluding Kashmir. Akbar assumed full control of the government and brought most of India under his control through conquests and alliances. He was able to conquer Rani Durgavati, a ruler of the central province, and Rani Chand Bibi, a regent of Ahmednagar. Akbar defeated Uday Singh of Mewar and captured the fort of Chittor in 1568 and then Ranthambore in 1569. In 1576, he won over Uday Singh's son Rana Pratap at the Battle of Haldi Ghati. Akbar was succeeded by the Prince Salim, his son, through a Rajput wife, who was also named Nuruddin Muhammad Jahangir, that is, conqueror of the world. Jahangir was more interested in art and painting and gardens and flowers rather than in running the government. So Jahangir's wife, Mehrunisha, also known as Nur Jahan, was the real power behind the throne. The toleration of religions of Akbar's time continued in Jahangir's time, but Jahangir ordered the execution of Sikh leader Guru Arjan for helping his rebellious son Khusru, who contested for the throne. This resulted in a prolonged fight between the Sikhs and the Mughals. The Mughals had to lose control over trade routes of Afghanistan, Persia and Central Asia. The loss of Kandahar exposed India to the invasions from the northwest. Ahmednagar, though conquered by Jahangir, remained a source of trouble throughout his reign. Jahangir granted trading rights to the Portuguese and later to the English. Thomas Roe, a representative of King James I of England, visited Jahangir's court, and this agreement paved the way for the British establishing their first factory in Surat. Prince Khurram, after a struggle for power, succeeded Jahangir as Shah Jahan, king of the world. Shah Jahan ruled for 30 years. He led a campaign against Ahmednagar and annexed it in 1632. Bijapur and Golconda were also conquered later. Shah Jahan fell ill in 1657 and a war of succession broke out among his four sons. Aurangzeb emerged successful after killing his three brothers Dara, Suja and Murad. Shah Jahan passed in the last 8 years of his life as a prisoner in the Shah Burj of Agra fort. Aurangzeb, the last of the great Mughals, started off his reign by imprisoning his old father. He assumed the title Alamgir, that is, a conqueror of the world. He reigned for 48 years. He was no lover of art like his grandfather Jahangir and architecture like his father Shah Jahan. He never tolerated any religion other than Islam. Aurangzeb's hostility towards Rajputs led to prolonged wars with them. To make matters worse, his rebellious son Prince Akbar joined the force of Rajput and created troubles to him. Prince Akbar entered into a pact with Shivaji's son Shambhuji in Deccan, so Aurangzeb had to march to Deccan in 1689. Aurangzeb could vanquish Shivaji's son and successor Shambhuji, who was captured and executed by him. He remained in the Deccan until his death in 1707 at the age of nearly 90. By the end of Aurangzeb's rule, the British had firmly established their trade centers at Madras, Calcutta, Bombay, and French had their main trade center in Pondicherry. Dear children, we learned about the Mughal administration. We learned that the central administration was carried out in the Mughal Empire, and they had a very stable administration in the larger parts of India, with the emperor as a supreme head. He was the lawmaker, chief executive, commander-in-chief of the army, and the final dispenser of justice. In his administration, he was assisted by a council of ministers, with Wakil, the prime minister, Wazir or Diwan in charge of revenue and expenditure, Mir Bakshi in charge of army, Mir Saman looked after royal household, Quasi, chief judge, Sadur Us Sudar was a minister for enforcing Islamic law, that is Sharia. The provincial administration the empire was divided into several subhas or provinces under the control of an officer called Subedar. The subhas were further divided into districts called sarkars. The sarkars were subdivided into parganas. A group of villages formed a pargana. The Mughal army comprised of infantry, cavalry, war elephants and artillery. And the emperor maintained a large number of trained and well-armed bodyguards and palace guards. We also learned about the Manshabdari system, which was introduced by Akbar. That is, the nobles, civil and military officials were combined to form a single service. Everyone in the service was given a mansab, that is, a position or a rank. The rank was dependent on Zat and Savar. Zat meant the status and Savar the number of horses and horsemen he had to maintain. His salary was fixed on the basis of number of soldiers each Mansabdar received, ranging from 10 to 10,000. The land revenue administration was toned up during the reign of Akbar. He followed the system of Zabt, in which the land, after a survey, it was classified according to the nature and fertility of the soil. The share of the state was fixed at 1/3 of the average produce for 10 years. The Mughal emperors also enforced old Ikta system and renamed it as Jagir. It is a land tenure system developed during the period of Delhi Sultanate. Under the system, the collection of revenue of an area and the power governing it were bestowed upon military or civil officials named as Jagirdar. There were zamindars who were appointed to collect revenue from the landholders. The religious policy followed by the Mughal emperors were very liberal. They followed Islam, but Akbar was very liberal in his religious policy. Even Portuguese missionaries were his great favorites. Akbar tried to indulge the good principles in all religions and formulated them into one single faith called Din Ilahi. This policy was followed by Jahangir and Shah Jahan, but Aurangzeb rejected the liberal views of his predecessor. He reimposed the jizya and pilgrim tax on Hindus. Dear children, in this session we will discuss about the art and architecture of the Mughal Empire. Dear children, we will learn about the art and architecture of the Mughal Empire. Babur introduced the Persian style of architecture to India by building many structures at Agra, Vienna, Dholpur, Gwalior and Kuil in Aligarh. But only a few of them exist today. Children, a Persian architecture uses abundant symbolic geometry, that is many of circles and squares, and plans and based on symmetric layout. They have rectangular courtyards and halls. They used extensively red sandstone as a building material. It had large bulbous domes, slender minarets at the corners, massive halls, large vaulted gateways and delicate ornamentation. Even though Babur introduced the Persian style and built many structures, but only very few of them exist today. Dear children, Purana Qila, P-U-R-A-N-A-Q-I-L-A. Purana Qila is a Hindustani word meaning old fort. It was earlier called as Shergarh or Sher Fort, is one of the oldest forts in Delhi. The massive gateways and walls of Purana Qila were built by the Humayun and the foundation laid for the new capital Din Pana. The work was carried forward by Sher Shah Suri, who displaced Humayun. It was constructed by the Sher Shah Suri to defend his most prized possession, that is Delhi, from the Mughals. Humayun's palace in Delhi, Din Pana, was probably destroyed by Sher Shah Sur, who built the Purana Qila in its place. The most prominent monument of Sher Shah's reign was his mausoleum built at Sasaram in Bihar. Children, mausoleum, M-A-U-S-O-L-E-U-M, mausoleum. It is a big building or structure which will be housing a tomb or a group of tombs where the emperors are buried. Usually it is built to lay one or more people to rest above the ground instead of buried in the earth. Dear children, it is time to learn about Akbar's architecture. It refers to the style of Indo-Islamic architecture. Examples of this style are Humayun's tomb, which was the first of a long succession of garden tombs, which is a predecessor of Taj Mahal, the Agra Fort, the Allahabad Fort, Lahore Fort, and the abandoned city of Fatehpur Sikri, and Akbar's own tomb. Children, Diwan-i Khas, Diwan-i-Am, Panch Mahal, Rang Mahal, Salim Chisti's tomb, and Buland Darwaza were all built during Akbar's time. Diwan-i Khas, Diwan-i-Am, Panch Mahal, Rang Mahal, Salim Chisti's tomb, and Buland Darwaza. Diwan-i Khas or Hall of Private Audience was a chamber in Red Fort in Delhi. It was built as a location for receptions where the Mughal emperors received courtiers and state guests. Diwan-i-Am or Hall of Audience is a room in the Red Fort where the emperors received members of general public and heard their grievances. Panch Mahal is a palace in Fatehpur Sikri. Panch Mahal means 5-level palace. This structure stands close to the Zenna quarters, which supports the supposition. It was used for entertainment and relaxation. The entire complex is built of locally quarried red sandstone, also known as Sikri sandstone. It is a 5-story building. It is built with the inspiration from the Buddhist temple. The Rang Mahal or Palace of Color is located in Red Fort, Delhi. It was a domestic space that was reserved for women of the house in a Muslim family. Salim Chisti's tomb also was constructed by Akbar as a mark of his respect for the Sufi saint, who foretold the birth of his son, who was named Prince Salim after him and later succeeded Akbar to the throne of the Mughal Empire as Jahangir. It is also built with red sandstone. It is one of the finest examples of Mughal architecture and a noted religious center for Muslims in the Dargah. Dear children, Buland Darwaza or the Door of Victory was built in 1602 AD to commemorate his victory over Gujarat. It is a main entrance to the Jama Masjid at Fatehpur Sikri. Buland Darwaza is the highest gateway in the world and is an example of Mughal architecture. Buland Darwaza is also made of red and buff sandstone, decorated with white and black marble, and is higher than the courtyard of the mosque. Now let us learn about the tombs constructed by Jahangir. Jahangir completed Akbar's tomb at Sikandra. You can see that in the picture, as well as the beautiful building containing the tomb of Idmatul Dawla, the father of Nur Jahan at Agra. It was Nur Jahan who oversaw that building of tomb of her father, Mirza Ghiyas. That is one of the exquisite examples of Indo-Persian architecture, and it provided inspiration for the Taj Mahal. Dear children, let us learn about the art and architecture of Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan's time witnessed the climax of the Mughal splendor. Shah Jahan's rule is what is considered the golden age of the vast Mughal Empire. He ruled from the newly constructed capital Shah Jahanabad, and the ruler's court was to be mirror image of paradise on earth in the very center of the empire, and such a ruler would be worthy of a throne of Solomon. The peacock throne was to be covered in gold and jewels with steps leading up to, with the ruler floating above the ground and closer to heaven. Large amounts of solid gold, precious stones and pearls were used, creating a masterful piece of Mughal workmanship that was unsurpassed before and after its creation. It was extravagant, costing twice as much as the construction of the Taj Mahal. It was known as a jeweled throne. The famous peacock throne, covered with expensive jewels, was made for the emperor to sit on. Not only that, children, then rose a world-famous Taj Mahal by the side of the Jamuna River at Agra. The Taj Mahal, children, is an ivory white marble mausoleum on the southern bank of river Yamuna in the Agra. It was commissioned in 1632 by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan to house the tomb of his favorite wife Mumtaz Mahal, and it also houses the tomb of Shah Jahan himself. It is a blend of Indian, Persian and Islamic styles. The 42-acre complex spanned for 22 years. The construction was done by around 20,000 workers employed from India, Persia, Ottoman Empire and Europe. Dear children, besides Taj, Shah Jahan built Moti Masjid, Pearl Mosque at Agra, Great Jama Masjid of Delhi and the Diwani Khas and Diwani Am in his palace in Delhi. The Moti Masjid is yet another marble structure located inside the Agra fort. It was built for the purpose of the members of the administration. It got the name Pearl Mosque because of its pristine glow. It is one of the beautiful monuments built by Shah Jahan other than Taj Mahal. The Jama Masjid at Agra looks a little similar to the Jama Masjid in Delhi. It was built in the honor of Jahanara Begum, beloved daughter of Shah Jahan. It is one of the best monuments in Agra. The Diwani Khas or Hall of Private Audiences was a chamber in the Red Fort of Delhi built in 1648 as a location for receptions. It was a location where the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan received courtiers and state guests. It is also known as Shah Mahal. Children, Diwan-i-Am was a hall of public audience in the Lal Killa or the Red Fort, the palace citadel built in 1640 by Shah Jahan in his new capital city, Shahjahanabad. Children, the pictures shows you Diwani Khas and Diwani-Am of Shah Jahan and the interiors of that place. Children, now let us see the art and architecture during the reign of Aurangzeb. During Aurangzeb's reign, architecture did not receive much patronage. The Bibi Ka Maqbara in Aurangabad, a mausoleum built by his son Prince Azam Shah as a loving tribute to his mother in the late 17th century, is however worth mentioning. Bibi Ka Maqbara or the Tomb of the Lady is located in Aurangabad. It was commissioned by Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb in the memory of his wife Dilraz Banu Begum. It bears a striking resemblance to Taj Mahal, the mausoleum of Aurangzeb's mother Mumtaz Mahal. Due to the strong resemblance to Taj Mahal, it is also called as Dakkani Ki Taj, that is Taj of the Deccan. Azam Shah oversaw the repair work of the mausoleum by Aurangzeb. Children, you can see the Taj Mahal replica in Aurangabad in the picture, and below that you can find the Taj Mahal in Agra. What a striking resemblance, isn't it? Children, now let us learn about the Red Fort or the Lal Killa. Lal means red and Killa is derived from the Persian word meaning fortress. It was originally known as the Blessed Fort, Qila-e-Mubarak. It was constructed in 1639 by the Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan as a palace of his fortified capital, Shahjahanabad. The Red Fort is named for its massive enclosing walls of sandstone. Shah Jahan commissioned the construction of Red Fort when he decided to shift his capital from Agra to Delhi. The fort lies along the Yamuna River. Not only that, on 15th August 1947, the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, raised the Indian national flag above the Lahori Gate. Every year on India's Independence Day, that is 15th of August, the Prime Minister hoists the Indian tricolor at the fort's main gate and delivers a nationally broadcast speech from its ramparts. Red Fort, also called Lal Killa in Delhi, was the residence of the Mughal emperors. Constructed in 1639, when it is constructed in 1639 by the Emperor Shah Jahan as a palace of his fortified capital, Shahjahanabad. The Red Fort is named for its massive enclosing walls of red sandstone. Dears, it is time for us to go through the summary of the lesson. Babur founded the Mughal Empire in 1526 after defeating Ibrahim Lodi in the Battle of Panipat of 1526. Humayun's unsettled conditions and Sher Shah Sur's victory over him in the Battle of Kannauj. Sher Shah's efficient land revenue administration, introduction of coin system, standardized weights and measures are dealt with in this chapter. Children, Humayun's retrieval of the Mughal Empire and his untimely death leading to the accession of his son Akbar with Bairam Khan as a regent and defeating Hemu, the great general of Sud dynasty, in the Battle of Panipat are also described. Akbar's conquest, military conquest as well as his religious policy are explained. Children, Jahangir's disinterest in state governance leading to dominance of his able, efficient wife Noor Jahan in the Mughal court is elaborated upon. Shah Jahan extending the Mughal rule in the Deccan and the resultant conflict with the Marathas are analyzed. Aurangzeb's conquest helped him to expand the Mughal Empire, but his policies against the Rajputs, Marathas and Sikhs provoked resistance from them, paving the way for its downfall. Children, Mughal administration headed by the emperor, who in turn was assisted by various officials, is described. Akbar's Mansabdari system and the land revenue policy formulated by Raja Turdar Mal according to the Zabt system are examined. Also, Mughals' contributions to culture, notably to art and architecture, are highlighted. Children, now let us go through the glossary. Expedition, expedition, expedition is a journey undertaken with the purpose of war. Prolonged, prolonged, prolonged is lengthy. Subdued, subdued, subdued is conquered. Rebellious, rebellious, rebellious is showing a desire to resist authority. Bestowed, bestowed, bestowed is awarded. Hereditary, 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 inheritance of a title, office or right. Enduring, enduring, enduring is lasting over a period of time. Before winding up today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned in this session. We learned about the Mughal Empire kings, art and architecture of Mughal Empire. We learned about the art and architecture during the time of Babur. Babur introduced a Persian style of architecture to India, building structures at Agra, Biana, Dholpur, Gwalior and Kiul. Sher Shah's ruins was the mausoleum built at Sasaram in Bihar. Diwani Khas, Diwani Am, Panch Mahal, Rang Mahal, Salim Chisti's tomb and Buland Darwaza were built during Akbar's time. Jahangir completed Akbar's tomb at Sikandra and the beautiful building containing the tomb of Itmadul Dawla, the father of Noor Jahan, at Agra. Shah Jahan's time witnessed the climax of Mughal Emperor, the famous Peacock Tomb, the Taj Mahal, Moti Masjid, Pearl Mosque at Agra, Jama Masjid of Delhi, Diwani Khas and Diwani Am at his palace in Delhi are all the wonders of Shah Jahan's time. During Aurangzeb's reign, architecture did not receive much patronage. The Bibika Maqbara in Aurangabad, a mausoleum built by his son Prince Azam Shah as a loving tribute to his mother in the late 17th century, is the one worth mentioning. In the next session, we will discuss the book bag question and answers. Thank you for watching the class, dear children. Please subscribe and share our YouTube channel exclusively for Samachir Kalvi classes, youtube.com/Samachir Kalvi Guide. Thank you and stay blessed.